Well, it was and is Flag Day in North Texas as the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg with the #1 pick of the NBA draft. Good evening, I'm Steve.
With the first pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg from Duke University.
How do you know when you're watching the beginnings of an all-time great talent? Not just elite or exceptional, but someone who feels like a once-in-a-generation player. Usually, the signs are obvious. National attention at an early age, a name that travels across states before ever stepping on an NBA floor. A few viral clips, freakish athletic ability, a Sports Illustrated cover. That's the formula. But here's the truth. We're awful at predicting generational greatness. For every player crowned early who lives up to the hype, there are 10 who vanish. So what do you say about a kid labeled generational at 16, who faced off with LeBron James in high school and was projected as the first overall pick years before he was eligible? Cooper Flagg has carried some of the heaviest expectations in recent memory, and so far, he hasn't stumbled once. Still, even as he's emerged as the clear top pick in his class, doubts remain. Some see the next era-defining star. Others, another overhyped prospect doomed to fall short. After so many false alarms, it's understandable why fans are cautious. But some still believe Cooper is the real deal. The question is, what exactly makes him different? What makes Cooper Flagg worth the generational label? And are we witnessing the rise of someone truly rare? Or setting him up for the same fate as the others who couldn't carry the weight? To find the answers, you have to go back, before the viral clips, before the headlines. Back to when the name Cooper Flagg meant nothing to most people. In December 2021, a local paper in Maine published a story about a 14-year-old phenom standing 6'7" and already dazzling coaches and scouts. He hadn't even played a single high school game, but word was spreading fast. This kid was different. Within 2 years, that unknown freshman became a national name. He transferred to Montverde Academy, one of the top high school programs in the country, and climbed to the top of every ranking. By the end of his sophomore year, it was no longer a secret. Cooper Flagg was a rising storm. That summer, the talk around Cooper exploded. He didn't just move up the rankings, he became the top player in the nation. The term generational began surfacing, but this time it felt early, maybe too early. It was August 2023. He was just 16 years old, 3 years away from the draft, and already being mentioned alongside LeBron, Anthony Davis, Zion, and Victor Wembanyama. 1 week later, he made a decision that only heightened the buzz. He reclassified to the class of 2024, skipping a year and instantly becoming the #1 player in the country, competing against athletes 1 or 2 years older. Overnight, he wasn't just the top high school player. He was the projected #1 pick in the 2025 NBA draft. Still only 16, he looked like a lock for National High School Player of the Year within weeks of the new season. Rarely do scouts agree on someone this young with this level of certainty. You might remember similar confidence around LeBron back in 2001 or Victor in 2021. Outside of those two, this level of hype before age 17 is nearly unheard of. But Cooper was about to face his biggest test, college basketball, or so people thought. Because before he ever played a college game, Cooper did something no one else had done. He joined the USA men's select team to scrimmage the Olympic team, a roster full of the NBA's elite, including LeBron, Steph, and KD. The team hadn't featured a high school player in over a decade. Cooper wasn't expected to dominate. At best, he could hope to survive, blend in, and hold his own. But he didn't just hold his own, he stood out. A post-camp poll of Team USA players showed that the name they all picked as the standout on the select team was Cooper. 17 years old, holding his own and excelling against NBA talent. By the time the summer ended, Cooper had checked every box: national attention, maturity beyond his years, physical dominance, and NBA-level instincts. He'd gone from dominating his age group to competing against pros. It was no longer about potential, he was already proving it. His next step was college, but even that felt like a formality. Despite being the second youngest player in the NCAA, Cooper immediately became the best. He averaged 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, dominating on both ends. Statistically, he was one of the top offensive and defensive players in the nation. His size, feel for the game, and versatility drew comparisons to stars like Jason Tatum, Kawhi Leonard, and Scottie Pippen. He played half the season at just 17 years old and still won National Player of the Year. To put it in perspective, picture a chart of the top 250 players in college basketball last season, with age on one axis and performance on the other. The older players dominate the upper tier. They're experienced, polished, physically mature. Now add the 30 first-round draft picks. Most are young, with strong upside. They form a clear zone of talent scouts seek, elite and young. But Cooper isn't in that zone. He's far above it, alone. Statistically better than almost everyone, and much younger. If there's such a thing as the perfect prospect profile, Cooper's already surpassed it. But here's the hard truth. As impressive as Cooper Flagg is, he's not an exception. He's just the latest in a long line of players labeled generational. When LeBron came along, the NBA had never seen anything like him. When Victor was drafted, his physical tools redefined expectations. But players like Cooper, gifted, young, and NBA ready, have come before. And history shows we're often wrong about them. Since 2000, 12 players have carried the generational label. LeBron, Greg Oden, Zion, Wemby, Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, Andrew Wiggins, Ben Simmons, DeAndre Ayton, Cade Cunningham, and a few more. Many of them looked like surefire stars. Some were. Most were not. Greg Oden looked unstoppable. Zion, a freak athlete, can't stay healthy. Dwight and AD will be Hall of Famers, but never dominated an era. Wiggins and Simmons were hyped, but fizzled. Even Ayton and Cade once carried the generational label. Out of 12 so-called can't-miss prospects, only LeBron and Wemby truly delivered. Which brings us to Cooper Flagg. He has the tools, the hype, and the dominance, but so did many before him. Maybe they didn't fail. Maybe we just got the label wrong. Cooper looks the part, but whether he's truly generational, only time will tell.